Third week in February, we finally got a little bit of snow, cold weather, starting to look like winter. We're gonna have to clean out the gutter, shovel the roof a little maybe. Jimmy's new truck. Snowmobile and Gil's Jeep, 2 humps. Little drift on Bill's porch up there. The kitchen door's almost plugged in.
Dog that's gone? On that window?
Yep.
Ooh, there goes your... You're gonna hurt your... Okay, honey, okay. Slow down. How many miles did you go?
15 miles.
How many miles?
15
I guess
miles.
so. She can do this a long time. Pretty good, Tara.
around them or should I wait?
Yeah, you can get up there.
Go, get on top.
Hold that one a second.
All right.
Yeah, I meant like when Bobby was coming down through.
Coverage in the movie camera.
Get a picture of the truck and, well, you know.
Bill's or Bob's, the big one.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Okay, should
Comes down through. And if somebody comes, you don't have to run out of state.
I didn't know what that meant.
Show them all.
Sign language or...
Right, she usually has to. So for that camera.
Did you have the lens cap off of this?
Yeah.
I guess it's still on. Probably it's still
This
running.
here. Oh, things still on. Hmm?
Yeah, it's still running.
Is it?
least at this hour, he is intending to represent himself. Well, how are you doing now, David? I mean, you know...
The entire state into a state of emergency.
I've never been to Alaska, but after tonight, I don't think I have to go either.
A back-aching, heart-pounding heap of drifting snow hitting the ground faster than any storm ever before.
In farm country, you've got a lot of open fields, and when that wind comes across with that force, it just drifts right in behind the plows. They can't keep up with it.
Communities pulling together to get out from under. Even the carrier dome needed help to get through this one. The storm to tell your grandchildren about, Blizzard 93. Good evening, I'm Matt Mulcahy. You know, it's the images we'll never forget. The snowdrifts taller than us, the cars plowed in and buried under. The snowplow coming by just one more time, just as you reach the end of shoveling your driveway. By the end of Blizzard 93, we all had stories to tell. A record-shattering whiteout that truly was one for the history books. More than 3.5 feet of snow shutting just about everything down. But we bounced right back. We begin tonight with the reason we were ready for it. We saw it coming from a continent away.
Another 1,500 miles west, this stuff out here, this energy, this moisture, well, that's another storm that by the time Sunday comes around, that'll be out off the coast, and, well, that one looks interesting, too. We're talking about the possibility of a whale of a storm developing down in the middle Atlantic states, the central Appalachians on Saturday, heading somewhere up into the northeast over the weekend. Somebody is going to really get walloped over the weekend with a lot of snow. It is really, really going to wind up into one of the more powerful storms we have seen in 50 or 100 years.
The first ever statewide activation of the emergency broadcast system. On a sunny mid-March day, Central New York mobilized for the worst. Plows on standby, workers, police, and volunteers ready for storm duty.
Good evening. The big story tonight, blizzard warning.
Wayne says we are not likely to dodge this one, and before the weekend is out, Central New York should be buried in new snow.
Buried is right. If you don't get out tonight, you won't get out at all. Now, while Central New York slept, Blizzard 93 was winding up its big punch, gathering steam off the Gulf of Mexico. By daybreak, the damage had begun. The storm on track. We were just 2 hours from seeing its leading edge.
It was snowing all the way up into south-central Pennsylvania late Friday night and Saturday morning, and the storm itself was still just getting organized way down in the Gulf of Mexico. So when you've got snow that's spread out 1,500, 1,700 miles in advance of the storm, and it hasn't even intensified yet, and the snow is accumulating up through the Appalachians, Washington, D.C., up to Pittsburgh in that area, that pretty much tells you you got a big snow ahead.
And it was. Just before 8 in the morning, Syracuse saw its first snow. The southern tier was already measuring in inches. Blizzard 93 was on target and heading north. Florida firefighters were the first to work before dawn. High winds and rain tearing through. Up the east coast, the storm stretched, touching New York first on the Long Island shore, and then New York City, where the world's hub, JFK Airport, shut down by noon.
Go over the responsibilities we've made for liaison.
Red Cross volunteers huddle up for final instructions. Shelters are open and ready across the region. Fire departments like Lafayette set up command posts to aid the stranded.
Our biggest headache tonight is probably going to be Route 81.
It's here. The heavy snow is now coming down outside at a very fast rate per hour. The airport's closed, so is the thruway within just the last minute. I'm Matt Mulcahy. Wayne's here. Rob Guarino, too. Special weather team coverage on the Blizzard of 93 on TV3.
Any road there. I have certainly seen my share of whiteouts in central New York, but I have never seen anything like this before. The wind is whipping, and the visibility, I'd say right now, is 20, 30 yards
we
max.
felt the building rumble a little bit here, and I'm sure you're feeling it at your home, too. Thunder and lightning reported throughout central New York, and Wayne Mahara just told me it's largely because of the pressure dropping outside.
right, let's get you out.
Most of central New York did stay home, but as we moved with Blizzard 93 into the night, the brave or not so wise ventured out, even with a state of emergency on all over.
How you doing? Good. You just come to help? I'm stuck too.
Good evening. It's 7 o'clock. Our continuing TV3 coverage of Blizzard 93 with all of central New York and now the New York State itself in a state of emergency because of all the snow that's piling up, the dangerous winds outside, and the quick rate in which snow is falling at this hour.
And this is as of 8 o'clock. These are some of the new totals we just have come in. Binghamton with 18 inches of snow since it started this morning. Syracuse at 16.
Good evening. At 9 o'clock, I'm Matt Mulcahy. This is a TV3 Blizzard 93 update. For some areas of central New York right now, a bit of a lull in the storm, but that does not mean it's over yet. Good evening. It's just before 10 o'clock. Here's a quick example of the kind of trouble heavy snow can bring. This collapsed warehouse roof on Syracuse's west side. No injuries involved in this.
About 10 o'clock as we looked outside, it looked like there was a lull. But I'll tell you, the wind's whipping, things are swirling. It's every bit as nasty as the worst parts of the day, and it's, of course, only going to get to be worse. Just off the phone with the state police, they tell us the thruway east to west, the entire width of the state of New York, closed down. Same with Route 81.
Through the drifting snow, a rescue at Syracuse, China. A propane explosion. 3 people hurt. And then the stranded. The Amway convention at the Landmark in Syracuse, among others, making the most of it all.
Yeah, I think this is great, man. We don't see this kind of stuff in South Florida. We see tornadoes and hurricanes, oh my God.
Some other people had no choice about where they spent part of the night.
Spending the night someplace warm and dry was good enough for most. But during an emergency, the rescuers are up all night long, and so is TV3, taking central New York through the storm. Jim Axelrod was up through the night on an overnight odyssey. Jim?
And Matt, tonight, 3 nights later, the wind's picking up a little, but with clear skies, mostly clear roads, even a beautiful sunset about an hour ago, the whole thing seems kind of unreal. But as Saturday night was whipping into Sunday morning and the blizzard gathering its breath for its loudest blast, there was no question. It was real, it was here, and daylight couldn't come fast enough.
The red X's ran wild across the top of the closed thruway toll gate in Baldwinsville early Sunday morning. The spotlights framing the intensifying blizzard. This was an overnight odyssey people wanted only to survive. At the Fairmount Fire Department, 12 volunteers stood by with radios and food. No sleep in sight.
The call came in. We were out of here within 60 seconds, and we were on the scene within 3 minutes.
Like tanks to battle, the Plows kept moving, undermanned against the raging storm. This was Route 81 northbound at 5:30 in the morning, also closed up. The tread marks about the only sign where our camera was.
Sunrise now on day 2 of Blizzard 93, or should we
The morning light seemed to bring some optimism that the worst was over, but also some new concerns.
Of course, this is Sunday morning, so we're going to have a big list of church closings, and why don't we run those down for you right now?
Practically all services and masses were canceled on this most extraordinary of Sunday mornings in central New York.
Thanks, Jim, for that report. With first light, people began to stir to see the beating their backyard had taken. The damage at dawn was a sight to finally see. The better part of 3 feet was now on the ground. Drifts up to here and higher.
It's about like 66. Yeah, a lot of drifts, cars buried in their driveways, drifted right in and around them.
Pretty deep. I can't believe we got this far.
Blowing drifts all the way up the side of the house. Cars are just completely covered. Yeah, it's crazy.
And the snow totals, let's see, if you can measure it with a yardstick, you're about right?
Yeah, exactly. 36 inches. We'll take
more than 3 feet in just the last 27 hours or so. The blowing and the drifting is the real big
state of emergency in effect. No one is supposed to be driving. However, those who were had a time of it. Thankfully for some, there was a helping hand. But the snow just kept coming, and so did the wind.
What better way to get the morning errands done? The malls are shut down, and so many other stores, too. At Peter's Grocery in Shop City, manager Chuck Solomon had no choice but to open after getting stuck here himself overnight.
Register 7, right over here, was my bed. And a roll of brawny towels was my pillow.
Back to the cancellations, the Syracuse schools are closed for tomorrow. Christian Brothers Academy is closed. Bishop Ludden is closed. Bishop Grimes is closed. The Syracuse Airport, Hancock Airport, is closed until 7 o'clock tonight, and it still may not open then. That's just the latest target date for when it may reopen. Transportation, getting out anywhere far away from where you are right now is very difficult. It's improving on a local level right now. President Clinton is now quickly reviewing applications for federal disaster relief. Cars that are buried. And you might not even know there was a car underneath it if you didn't have the intelligence to figure it out. Syracuse University, and leave it here for just one moment, Syracuse University has never canceled classes because of the weather before, and today they have. Also University College. And on the SU Hill, the Carrier Dome, deflated on purpose to keep it from collapsing under the snow buildup. As sunset came Sunday, we were 3 feet deep into Blizzard 93. In a moment, the tales are told of riding out the storm. The emergency is still on. What goes up must come down, but nothing was going up. And once it was down, jets were going nowhere. And still won't tonight, even though the airlines have pushed to have Hancock Airport reopened. The blizzard warning continues, so does the state of emergency. 38+ inches of snow in Syracuse, record amounts, record closings, and brutal wind chills as well. Syracuse seemed to have gotten the worst of just about anywhere else up the whole East Coast.
So the forecast tonight, the blizzard warning continues in effect. Windy and cold, lake-effect snow showers and flurries. Some areas another 3 to 5 inches. Low tonight around 3 degrees. Lots of blowing and drifting still with that gusty wind.
We're looking at moderate blowing snow, and the winds are really fierce out here. The wind chills are down. I am really cold out here. And you can see that this is actually one of the smaller drifts. Behind me, 7- and 8-foot drifts.
Our Lee-mometer measuring the snow and the temperature outside. Very cold and very snowy.
Well, this morning, Matt, we went down to the barn, waded down to the barn, I should say, and when we finally got the barn doors open, the horses, they were in a big hurry to get out until they found out that the drifts were up above their bellies. They made an effort to get out in the field, turned right around, came back, and asked to come in.
We're stuck in. We've got about 6- and 7-foot drifts around my house, and I haven't even attempted to get outside today.
Call your company or office before you try to go to work tomorrow or tonight, because many of them are closed or are canceling shifts. Even in a storm this tough, not everything comes to a halt. In fact, in snowbelt country, east of Lake Ontario, hey, what's another 3 feet?
Yeah, this is normal. Although we thought winter was over with about 3 weeks ago, and I guess not.
My brother, Tim Mulcahy, and his wife, Kristen, are at Krause Irving Memorial. They came in at 4 this afternoon, braving the winter storm. They're having a baby. His name? Jared Michael. One of an unusually high number of births during the storm, some say due to the low pressure system.
Why is this woman sweeping the snow? Oh, it's her car.
We go into tomorrow, 23 degrees. And yes, that is the sun. It will be out by the afternoon. Get the shovels ready.
Yes, the sunshine was finally in the forecast. It would come, but first the last licks for Blizzard 93 during the overnight hours.
The storm had now moved up into Canada, but we are still picking up a northwesterly wind, but being it was moving away so fast, the lake effect started to die off, and it looked like it was going to die off in the next couple of hours, but the winds were picking up, and then the drifting started to come into play overnight before it subsided in the morning.
And in that morning, the airport, the thruway, and all the main roads would be ready to open again. And Blizzard 93 will push over the top into history as TV3 Blizzard 93 coverage continues.
Raisin Brans are good for you, but they're all the same. So this is total Raisin Bran, huh? Excuse me while I eat. Crunchy. It's good. Very good. Wow, look at this. Total Raisin Bran has 100% of all these vitamins and minerals. Kellogg's has 100% of just one? That's odd.
Total Raisin Bran. The Raisin Bran with the total difference.
Never thought much about vitamins. Now you got me thinking.
Next time on Entertainment Tonight.
We made the ultimate personal sacrifice, you know, that a husband and wife can make.
Anita Baker had it all. Grammy Awards, platinum albums. But the one thing she didn't have was the thing she wanted most. a baby.
Oh, okay.
After 2 earlier miscarriages, Anita's finally living the family life she's always dreamed of. Plus, why is Brian Dennehy after Paul Newman's wife? Find out only on the next Entertainment Tonight.
Tuesday at 7:30 on TV3.
Hi, shh. I'm Glenn Gomez-Adams from the Y Morning Wake Up Show, and I've got a secret. I'm the mystery shopper, and I'll be at Smith's Market in Brewerton this Friday, looking in your shopping cart for 3 or more healthy dairy products. If I see them, you'll win great prizes, like T-shirts, ski passes, 30-day trial track and racket memberships, and more. No purchase is necessary. It's from the American Dairy Association. Milk, it does a body good. Brought to you by WSTM TV3 and Y94 FM.
From Hollywood Pictures.
Last night I started thinking and I couldn't fall asleep for 10 minutes.
They said Billy Dawn would never be more than a Vegas showgirl. She's on the stupid side.
What do you know? You open beer cans with your teeth.
Now they're learning
I'm not taking it anymore.
to never underestimate the power.
You're
Harry's boss. Of an underestimated woman.
Am I in the room?
Melanie Griffith, John Goodman, Don Johnson. Born Yesterday, directed by Luis Mandoki, rated PG. Starts Friday, March 26th at a theater near you.
Are things looking good at Chapels this spring? Things are looking great.
By Monday morning, the storm had passed us by, but not before leaving just enough lake effect behind to push past the all-time record for the snowiest storm at just under 43 inches. That's just under 4 feet, without the drifts and the plow piles.
Around today, people have done a fine job of putting their lives back to normal after this big storm. The road crews especially. Most roads are open, clear, and relatively safe tonight. But as we also found, there are some people who are still feeling the full effects of Blizzard 93.
There you go. All right, good.
Welcome to Hobart Avenue. The people who live on this dead-end street in Syracuse say they've been waiting for 3 days for a snowplow to show up.
They don't care about dead-end streets. They just go on by.
So the neighbors banded together and have taken it upon themselves to clear their own street. It's hard, back-breaking work, and they're not happy with the Syracuse DPW.
We pay enough taxes here. All the other streets around us are done.
Negotiating the side roads remains a challenge. Many cars still buried under heaps of snow as special equipment is brought in to chew a path down narrow streets. All the while, people shoveling and shoveling to dig themselves out, only to see their work destroyed in a blast.
Well, you know, I felt like pelting him with snowballs, but I let him go by. He's just doing his job.
The sheer weight of the snow causing problems at Pencan Mall, where part of the roof collapsed. Mall management says it was only a minor problem, but...
On the Today Show this morning, the governor admitted New York has taken some hard hits lately, but says it keeps bouncing back.
For all of that, my state is open today. The public buildings are open. I expect my state workers to be here. The airports are open. The roads are open.
Hancock did reopen at 8 this morning after being shut down about 40 hours. People by the hundreds lined up at ticket counters for outbound flights that had been delayed or canceled. Many flights are still delayed this evening. Tim Barber was stranded 2 days.
You got to take it with everybody else. You think you're the only one, and I myself have done that, but you got to just go with the flow.
The Teal Avenue office in Syracuse, sorters were sorting this morning, telling us some processing is delayed because mail's arriving late by air and by truck. Carrier Doug Litz says it's rough getting to the mailboxes and people haven't cleared the snow away.
As Central New York found new ways to pile it up, schools called in cancellations for a second day. Buried sidewalks kept the kids at home, and that's fine with them. With the sunshine out, it's time to get out the sled and make the most of Blizzard 93. While the kids play, the adults fine-tune a special Central New York talent.
We're a community of experts tonight, calloused, sore, and tired of shoveling. And like any community of experts, full of suggestions about the best way to get it done.
You gotta break it apart. Take it little by little, do by layers usually. You gotta put your back into it, and you gotta use your arms a lot.
It's all in the motion. Continuous motion.
Bend the knees, use
The shovelers always kind of look down their runny noses at the snow blowers and the plowers. But listen to them. They'll tell you it's no picnic their way either.
Well, you get sore knees, too.
Where do you get sore?
Your back, your legs, from hitting the gas brake all the time.
And how about this one? Do you take this man or woman for blizzard or for worse?
It's the one day that everybody will remember. You know, no, how can anybody forget your wedding day? You know, they're gonna be like, March 13th. You got.
I said, you better not ever forget our anniversary.
What a couple. They're from Homer, and they'll never forget the day they got married. Just how much did Blizzard 93 dump on Central New York, and how does it stack up with the legend of 66? The TV3 weather team wraps that up as Blizzard 93 coverage continues.
Hi, I'm in this commercial because I'm not an expert on nutrition. I mean, who is?
Roads and Hancock Airport on when to shut down. Wayne Mahar begins our TV3 weather team wrap-up.
We're talking 43 inches by the time the storm was all said and done. That included a bit of lake effect behind the storm. I mean, that will go down as one of the biggest snowstorms we've had, and it goes down in the record books as the most snow we've ever had in 24 hours. We're talking about 34, 35 inches in 24 hours. That's a record. That tells you the intensity of the storm itself.
The similarities of the two storms is that in 1966, we had a track that jumped down into the Gulf of Mexico. They both followed the same track. They both also headed up the coast, but they stayed a little further inland, which allowed a lot of moisture to develop from the Gulf of Mexico. And then it collided with the cold air over Syracuse, creating a significant amount of snow. The major difference between the two storms is that in 1966, we had 42 inches over a 4-day period, where in 1993, we had it just about in a 2-day total. So a lot more snow in a shorter period of time for the 1993 storm.
There also seems to be something generational about which storm was worse, 66 or 93. The people who were experienced 66 won't let go of that one, and now the people who've been through 93 say this is the one they will remember. With Blizzard 93 now melting away, we'll take a moment to remember the 20 people in our state who died mostly after the storm, after shoveling snow. You always have to be careful about that. We also want to thank all of you who tuned in and stayed tuned in to our around-the-clock Blizzard 93 coverage. And thanks to all who called in vital information like closings and cancellations. I also want to add personal congratulations to each and every person behind the scenes here at TV3. We weathered this storm together with all of Central New York. This truly was the storm to tell your grandchildren about. With continuing Blizzard 93 coverage, I'm Matt Mulcahy.
Our hero of the hour finds himself...
And now, your hosts, Pat O'Brien and Dorothy Lucy.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to our show.
Wherever we go, people are either telling us stories about how things are done or asking us how they do that.
That's right, Dorothy. Imagine this one. Your resume says you've danced with Gene Kelly, kicked heels with Groucho Marx, had dinner with Cary Grant, and you're only 30 years old. Even in Hollywood, that one would be tough. But if you're Paula Abdul, it's true. Seemingly impossible, but true. Here's how she did it.
There's just one, and there's no mistaking it, one. Just no faking it, one.
Why don't you and me do some fancy stepping tonight?
In this Diet Coke commercial, Paula Abdul does some fancy stepping with Gene Kelly in 1945.